That's a good thing.
I love it.
They've probably been sitting here for weeks.
June 16, 2026, Lowell City Council meeting come to order. City prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessings on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Scott.
Here.
Councilor Chau.
Here.
Councilor Dakota.
Here.
Mayor Gitchia.
Here.
Councilor Juran.
Here.
Councilor Liang.
Here.
Councilor McDonough.
Here.
Councilor Mercier.
Here.
Councilor Nuon.
Here.
Councilor Robinson.
Here.
Councilor Rourke.
Here.
11 present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moment of silence is Councilor Nuon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to asking for a moment of silence and darken the chamber for Rasan, 83 years of Lowell, Massachusetts, passed away peacefully at home on Monday, June 1st, 2026, surrounded by her beloved family. Born in Cambodia, Ra was the eldest of 7 children and the cherished daughters of Cao Ni Srun and Mit Nam. She was raised in a Buddhist and spiritual household that instilled in her value of compassion, humility, resilience, and unconditional love. Vietnam War and Cambodian Civil War brought immense hardship and tearing the family apart, including Ra family. In 1975, the Khmer Rouge took Ra's husband from her, leaving her widow under tragic circumstance. Faced with unimaginable loss, Ra displayed courage and determination. She led her children, niece, and sister to safety, fleeing Cambodia to Thailand before eventually settled in a refugee camp. In 1980s, around the 80s, Ra emigrated to United States as a refugee. She first settled in Chicago, Illinois, before moving to Madison, Wisconsin, where she spent many years building a new life through hard work and persevering. Later, she relocated to Lowell, Massachusetts, where she found some of her greatest joys in life, being a grandmother. Nothing brought Ra more happy than caring for her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Her home was a place of comfort, laughter, and belonging, where everyone knew they would be welcome with open arms. Her life was a testament of resilience, selflessness, and the enduring power of family. Though she's no longer with us, with her family, her legacy lived on in the family she nurtured, the values she instilled, the countless lives she touched with her love. May she rest in peace.
Seeing no other, if you could please dim the light. Two, Mayor's Business. 2.1, Communication, Remote Zoom Participation. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Yang, seconded by Councilor Juran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 2.2, Proclamation, National American Eagle Day. City of Lowell, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, by His Honor Eric R. Gitcher, Mayor, a proclamation. Whereas the City of Lowell recognizes its rich diversity of wildlife, which includes bald eagles, peregrine falcons, and other raptors who reflect the health, resilience, and ecological vitality of our city. And whereas Lowell skies and over 6 miles of waterway now support these once endangered species who return to the Merrimack and Concord rivers, stands as one of the greatest conservation success stories of our time, reminding us that dedicated stewardship can restore even the most vulnerable species. And whereas the City of Lowell reaffirms its commitment to protecting raptors and their habitats by promoting non-lead alternatives, reducing resilience on harm rodenticides, advancing integrated pest management programs, and supporting the educators, rehabilitators, and volunteers who safeguard these species for future generations. And now, therefore, I, Eric R. Gitcher, Mayor of the City of Lowell, do hereby proclaim June 20th, 2026 as National American Eagle Day in the City of Lowell, and urge all residents to protect the raptors and their habitats through responsible environmental stewardship, reducing threats posed by toxin rodenticides, and promoting safer science-based alternatives, supporting community education on wildlife and conservation and ecological health. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Gitcher. Good evening, Mayor Gitcher, Manager Golden, members of the City Council. My name is Christine Wilkins. I'm a resident of downtown Lowell at 240 Jackson Street, and I'm a founding member of Lowell Loves Wildlife. I am so pleased to be here tonight as the city formally recognizes June 20th as National Bald Eagle Day in the city of Lowell. As you know, the city is home to a multitude of raptors, including the majestic bald eagle. Just a couple of weeks ago, while I was out on the Riverwalk, I had such a thrill witnessing a bald eagle fishing for its dinner in the Merrimack River. I watched as a little black bird repeatedly dive-bombed this bald eagle, and this bald eagle paid this bird absolutely no mind while it continued to fish for its dinner. I stayed and watched until that bald eagle caught a fish in its talons. It spread its magnificent wings and it took off with its dinner. It was truly an awesome sight, and it's one that every resident in the city of Lowell deserves to see. With this proclamation, the city of Lowell is helping to ensure this becomes a reality for all residents. I, Lowell Loves Wildlife, and all of our partners who've joined us here tonight, thank you for your dedication to wildlife and preserving the integrity of our local ecology. Lowell Loves Wildlife looks forward to working alongside you in the future. If anyone wants to see pictures of the bald eagle with the fish in its talons, I posted them to our Facebook page, Lowell Loves Wildlife. Thank you very much.
Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Mercier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 3, City Clerk. 3.1, Minutes of Technology and Utilities Subcommittee, May 26th. City Council regular meeting, FY27 budget hearing, May 26th, and June 2nd for acceptance. Motion to accept by Councilor Chau, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5, City Council motions. 5.1, City Councilor Mercier requests City Manager provide a monthly report to the council as to the overtime spending in the fire department. Seconded by Councilor Nuon. Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, let me segue my remarks by saying I have the greatest respect for the firefighters, and I know how much this council worked so hard to try to keep brownouts from happening. But it was at the very end of the season when it came time for the city budget, and we saw the overage of overtime, and it was very shocking to me because I don't monitor that, and I thought maybe someone in the city or that department monitors the overtime. So one of the most important duties of a city councilor is to set the tax rate, go over the city budget, and try very diligently to keep taxes and finances down as best we can. Inflation, energy costs, fixed costs, etc., contribute to our many challenges. There comes a time when we need to go a step higher and oversee costs that contribute to a higher than normal increase. One of these cuts was overtime for the fire department. I don't like to see the result of that at the very last minute. And when we looked at it, it seemed that the highest paid member of the fire department earned a base pay of $125,606, and it rose to $245,943, $57,461 in overtime. That could have supported a person for the whole year. We laid off a lot of people, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but that was rather sad to see people making all that money with overtime. And I know that it's important for public safety. Some were making $45,000 in overtime. That is someone's full-time salary. This is what I call, and I'm going to call it, and I don't think people are going to like it, but it's almost like highway robbery. The taxpayers are being held hostage. I call this being greedy, and I, for one, will not stand for it. Lowell firefighters worked two shifts a week, and that work schedule was negotiated in an attempt to rein in escalating overtime costs, but unfortunately, it produced the exact opposite, to the tune of $4 million in overtime costs in the fire department. This is out of control. That's why I made this motion, because I don't want to say it, but it's, to me, greed. I know there's 110 firefighters that follow the rules and do everything that they're supposed to do, but there are others that are just not doing the right thing. And I'd like to monitor the spending monthly, not wait until budget time and have it spring on us. Thus, the motion would control it gradually so we aren't in the shock at budget time. Some knew how to abuse the system for their own personal gain. And while I'm still here, I want to keep tabs on the spending. So therefore, that is why I'm making this motion. We also heard that this overtime spending won't happen if we take our 6 laid-off firefighters back. And I'm thinking, they were back. How did it get to $4 million when they were already here? Other departments absorb retirement reductions in the workforce, so should the fire department. I firmly believe that this motion should be part of a monthly schedule for this council to monitor. And I'm sorry to say it, but somebody has to say it and someone has to control it. I don't know how the meeting went with the city manager. Maybe promises were made, but I rely on actual facts, and I want to see those figures monthly along with this council so that we're not shocked at budget time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Councilor Nuon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councilor Mercier, for put this motion together. Like you, every council here, every resident of the city of Lowell, want to support public safety. Public safety to them is number one, particularly to support the fire department. Many years ago, Councilor Mercier and I, and among others, and even today, if you ask some of the most, if not all these council tonight, that they do not want company closing. We will support the fire department. But we do concern as well our responsibility to the resident of Lowell. This year, $4.6 million, 4.6% tax increase, right? And the overtime for our fire department last year is around, I believe, 3.3, 3.4. This year is 4.4. So every year keeping increase of over $1 million. This is not sustainable. We cannot do this. We cannot continue to do this over the back of our taxpayer in the city. We have to, and we heard it from the last council meeting from our fire union leaders saying that they're going to work. I'm happy to hear that. They're going to work with the city administration, with the manager, to try to control that overtime and maybe reduce it to maybe last year's budget, 3.2. That would be nice. Even lower than that, that would be nice. We want to see that. So, good idea, Councilor Mercier, the monitoring, and we hope that what the president of the union and the leadership of the union will work with the city administration, the managers and his team to try to bring down that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Nuon. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A very timely motion by Councilor Mercier. Obviously, when we see a overtime budgeted at $2 million and we're coming at twice that, it has to be monitored closely, and I think this is a great motion by Councilor Mercier. I think for the residents who are will want to know on a monthly basis where the tax dollars are going. So I think this is a very good motion I will be voting for. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dakota. Councilor Liang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And also, I just want to say that I'm happy that all the firefighters are back, and we're just only talking about just the overtime piece. I know how valuable it is to have a fire department that can be accessible by every single person in the city. I know that in 1995, when I was in Cambodia, the house was burning down, and the fire truck came. They didn't put out the fire. They asked, whose house is it? So this is something that we're probably just, maybe just taking advantage of the services. But I'm really happy that they're back. But the overtime piece, I'm also very concerned from the beginning. We're in a rough time. I mean, for the city, for the residents, and we laid off a lot of people, and I mean, not just the fire department, other department that has overtime should be somewhat monitored. But at this point, I do agree that while I'm happy that all the firefighters are back, well, we do need to monitor, and thank you. And on a monthly basis, we want to know what's going on, especially on the OT. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Liang. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I agree with the monitoring, and yes, it's not sustainable. But let's not kid ourselves. We've had this conversation a couple of budget cycles now. In addition to monitoring, we can gather all the data we want. What are we doing to staff up? It's been brought forward. We've asked how many times to get to a higher number of staffing to offset the expenditure in the overtime account. We've done nothing. We were looking to cut below the 203 number, going backwards. So it's not just a matter of spending overtime. If we don't look to staff up and put more firefighters on, what do you think this number is going to be year after year? It's impossible. We've given raises to our employees, contractual obligations, so there's an increased cost right there, even with a fixed number of employees. And now, if we're going to continue to look at trying to bring this number down, it's impossible without staffing up in the fire department. And I think protection of public property is a priority we've heard loud and clear. So now that we all agree on that piece, what are we going to do to commit to staff up to offset the unfunded liabilities of overtime? If we staff up, we know what our costs are for the most part. But when you don't staff up, it's an unfunded mandate, unfunded liability. From year to year, that number is going to fluctuate, and it's not going to go down. It's impossible to go down for shift coverage, either that or closed stations. And I've said this a million times. I know Centerville can't afford to close stations. If my colleagues feel comfortable closing stations because this number that we refuse to staff up to offset is what it is, then let them advocate for that. But there's no way Centerville is in agreement with closing stations, and I think we owe the public to staff up to offset this number, and it has to be a long-term plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry. I would also just, I guess, point out that we do get a monthly report, and I hesitate to make additional work for members of the administration. The auditor puts out a report every month with the munis to date, and it includes line items for each expense. I triple checked before I said this, and I happened to just be looking at October of this year, and I can see quite clearly that in October the fire department was 67% expended on their overtime budget, which I do appreciate Councillor Mercier's intention in making sure it comes to our attention. I guess I would just say that maybe we don't need any additional report or process here. We are already tracking this number. Sometimes I think I need a reminder that the munis report from the auditor is out as well. And the other thing, the thing that gives me pause, in addition to what Councillor Robinson has said, is just that when we talk about the fire department, and I don't dispute any of my colleagues that say the overtime spending is out of control, is in trying to get towards a solution, we have to be, I think we need to be conscientious of the fact that the fire department is one of very few departments in the city with minimum staffing requirements, or both contractual and for safety, and that at some point, if we don't have enough people working, either through overtime or otherwise, that does result in closing a truck. We can't send out a truck with 2 people. We can maybe send out a truck with 3 people. Ideally, we're supposed to send out a truck with 4 people. And so that creates a different dynamic than exists if somebody in the DPW is out during a non-snow emergency, or if even school side is what I know. So sorry, but even if a school teacher's out, sometimes, believe it or not, you don't always sub the classroom, but you have to fill the firefighter. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'm not trying to make work for people, and if it's already being done, then how hard is it to print that out and give it to 11 people? Is that a burden? It's a burden to me to see at the end of the budget time and spring it on us. I don't have the privilege to keep looking, and I mean, you know, when you're not working, maybe you have time to do all these things, but I just would like the auditor, to print it out. I don't know how much more difficult that is. I want to see it in my hand to know that, yeah, it's getting higher or it's getting higher. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor and Vice Mayor Nuon. I think all of this is on already the auditor's page under the munis reports. You can do that monthly and see what the fire department's overtime is. But I think you need more than that in a report. It's not a simple number. It's not something, and I don't disagree with Councilor Mercier. We should be looking at those munis reports for all departments as they're put on there by the auditor monthly. Everybody can look at them. Residents can look at them. If residents want to know, they can look. But the number is interesting to me when you have 203. What is the buffer between each shift? How many firefighters are extra so when someone takes the day off, where someone can go on a truck without the overtime? That's what I think Council Robinson's driver was. We have to look and see, is it feasible to hire people instead of paying the overtime if it's only 1 or 2 or 3 here and there? How many a day are called in? Is there 1? Is there 6? Is there none? I don't know that answer. How many people are out on workman's comp that are hurt? There's a lot of things that drive in this number, the 203 number. If you're right on the borderline at 203 for each shift, and 3 people go out on injury, then every shift you got 3 people who are going to get overtime to keep the companies open. So those are the drivers. You need more than just a number to understand how the path goes to the function. And I think that it's important that we understand that because we already have the number. Through you, Mr. Vice Mayor, to the auditor.
Madam Auditor.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Every month you post those munis reports, correct?
Yes, I do.
So the public, counselors, anybody can just click on, look, and see exact amounts every month in spending by month. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, I mean, it would be the cumulative total, so you would have to take the difference between the current month, the prior month, to see what the overtime for that given month was, but,
Yeah, you just have to subtract May from April, and there's your number.
right.
Yeah, okay. I just want everyone to understand it already is available for everybody in the public to see. But that isn't the answer. The answer is how come it's getting to that stage. I think that's what Councilor Mercier is looking for, not just a number. In that 203 number, how many people are out? And are they out because of workman's comp issues? Are they out because of maternity, paternity leave in these days? That changes the way that these overtime functions are happening. And if you look at all the departments, you're seeing the overtime drivers are up a lot of money because of maternity, paternity, all the other things that go on in municipal government with all these benefits that are costing the taxpayer money. So I just wanted to say it is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You can take the podium.
Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a good motion, and that was filed, and happily support it. And I think the staffing, I don't want to say excuse, but the staffing reasoning would hold more water if we didn't get the report that you had over 110 firefighters that take very little time, sick time off, and you had, almost 45% that take, more than 5 to 7 days, and you have, I think, 30 that are out of time altogether and dip it into the sick bank leave. I would be in favor of a full fiscal audit with everything, if the council wants to go that route, to find out, the reasons. And I think that the mayor's correct. We should be looking at everything, whether it's union leave, whether it's vacations. I do see the chief here. If he can come up and explain, the staffing of a particular day for fire stations. I think, Chief, the number 33 and 39, is it, what's the, is it a 6 or 7 person firefighter, I guess, grace that you have there?
Yes, Councilor, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councilor. Each shift is manned by 41 personnel. That's 3 persons on each of the 13 trucks and the 2 chief officers. So a fully staffed group would have 41. At the 213 number, each group will have between 45 and 46. That is the method through which we absorb some of the overtime costs by having the anywhere from 4 to potentially 6 individuals extra on each shift.
Now, imagine the summertime, June, July, August, we're going to see a little higher number because that's vacation season probably, for most families. But so I guess the term I'm looking for is, it's not grace or grace period or something like that, but there's a buffer of 4 to 6 firefighters each shift?
When we're fully manned, yes.
What is it now?
We are at 200.
And so, and there's 41 daily.
Yeah, I believe one group has an extra and 2 groups have 2 extra, and then one is right on the money.
And we're utilizing deputies daily as well?
Right.
How many?
We have 8 deputy chiefs that can do the shift work. There's one that just does days.
Okay.
And there are 2 required each shift because of the size of the city.
Yeah. And we talked about this, I know when the manager got it together with the union leadership, and, the term, leap of faith, I think was used. It is a two-way street. We have to, look at both sides of things. We have already, restored those positions, and, we'll wait and see what comes out of the, negotiations between the manager and the, in the union. But, I think the motion by Councilor Mercier is just, and, look forward to see the results as we go forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Rourke. Just one question, Chief, before you go. So you said 141 per day. 41 per day, so there's 4 days. So that's 164 people in the 4 days have to be healthy. And there's only a buffer of...
Yes, that would be the minimum across 4 days to man all of the trucks up to 3.
So the buffer is like 8 each shift?
I don't think I've ever seen it that high. I generally we're in a 4, 5, 6 range extra on each shift as we get close to the 213. But honestly, I've been the fire chief for 6 years. I've never seen 213.
So out of the 41, you normally see at least 5 people who are out either injured or sick on any given day? More than the 5 or 6 that you have available?
Potentially, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Councilors, I just want to let you know I did meet with Local 853, and they came forth with 10 different ideas. I will be talking to the chief and the assistant chief to implement those ideas to see if there's financial savings. And what the chief is talking about, every time we try to get to 213, retirements come into play. So it's not just as simple as hiring anybody else. They have to go through appropriate training, et cetera. So it's pretty much 2 times a year. Chief, I hope I'm right on that, give or take, when they when folks have to go there. So we have been exploring the possibility of going higher, but once again, it's similar to what the police department has gone through. We at one time had 252 offices. Now we have 235 offices. that we feel as though that is a full complement that we can get. So I want to commend 853 for coming up with ideas, and the chief will see that, as well as the assistant chief, to try to implement the 10 ideas to try to mitigate any of the overtime spending. But this was a concern that was raised by me. It has been raised over the past few years, and it really isn't about the 112 individuals who come to work every single day. It's 45% of the folks that could potentially be utilizing time a little bit more aggressively than we anticipated. I believe that with the union, we're going to work through that, and I hope to have more information for you coming soon.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Through you to the manager, is there a mechanism that we can onboard people without going to the academy, train them in-house, where they wouldn't be full-fledged professional firefighters until we had spots available in the academy to send them off? That way it would require less compensation as opposed to a full-fledged professional firefighter that's gone through the training, but it would provide us that body that would fill that vacancy instead of paying time and a half. It's somebody at a higher rate of pay.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. Council, I don't want to get into the actual, what I would consider some of the negotiations we've been discussing at this time. One of my concerns out of the gate, if that were a hypothetical, would be the liability that the city could or may incur. Could we do it? Probably yes, we probably could. I'd need to talk to the solicitor. I'd talk to the union about that, but that's a concern that I would have in regards to bringing people on that wouldn't be. Now, let's be honest, they could be on, they could be trained. We have some of the best trained professionals in the fire service currently right now. They could wait, but that's something that I think I need to speak with the chief, the assistant chief, and others. I just feel a little bit more cautious about that. I have my concerns, and it's predominantly around safety for the individual and liability towards the city.
And the second question would be, out of the 40% plus that have been potentially abusing time or whatever, have we been addressing that through the progressive discipline process with the contract? I mean, there are mechanisms and tools in place for any of that for any employee if need be. I don't wish to see it, but if that's what's going on, are we addressing it through the tools available?
Chief.
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the councilor. Absolutely. We have a bunch of them. In fact, one of them in particular is outlined by the collective bargaining agreement itself. In the month of June, we review everyone for excessive sick leave. That is conducted yearly and annually. We are also looking pretty much every week to create a sick leave report, and in that we try to establish if there are trends that are indicating whether there is abuse. Up to this particular point this year, 15 individuals have been disciplined with written warnings, and they've been placed on notes to the chief's office, which means for the next 6 months they are required on or before their next working day to produce a note to me from a doctor. So we do have the mechanisms through progressive discipline, and we are utilizing them.
Okay, thank you. See, I'm glad to see the tools are being used, and hopefully we can get this situated moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. It's after 7 o'clock, so we're going to go back to the general public hearings. 4.1, vote, approve amendment to special permit. Give second reading, vote, approving an amendment to the Residence First Development Special Permit for the planned residential development known as River's Edge. We're going to open this portion of the hearing for all those in favor, or anyone who wants to speak in favor. Attorney Geary, just state your name and address for the record.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor Gitchier, members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. For the record, my name is John Geary of Geary & Geary LLP, 32 Church Street, Lowell, Mass. I'm here tonight representing Residence First Development Corporation, and as you all probably know, Residence First is the nonprofit developer responsible for overseeing the redevelopment of the former Julian Steel housing development, which is now known as River's Edge on the Concord. We're here tonight requesting that the council approve an amendment to the special permit, which was issued many years ago. The details of that special permit were submitted through the clerk's office for the council's consideration. But in summary, the special permit essentially allows for the addition of 32 housing units at River's Edge, which are income restricted and owner occupied. That achieves a couple of the primary goals of the Lowell Forward Housing Production Plan, which are to create additional housing units within the city and create additional affordable housing units within the city. So on May 4th, the Planning Board voted to recommend approval of this amendment to the City Council. The Planning Board determined that the amendment satisfied the goals of the Lowell Forward Plan, that the amendment was consistent with the character of the existing neighborhood, and that the amendment satisfies the criteria for issuance of a special permit pursuant to the ordinance. So provided that the council votes to approve this amendment, the last step in the permitting process is for River's Edge to go back to the planning board, request an amendment to its definitive subdivision plan. We hope to do that soon, and so that's a quick summary of what we're requesting, but I'm happy to answer any question if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Geary. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the meeting is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? 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 That portion of the meeting is closed. What's the wish of the body?
Move to approve.
Move to approval by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Mercier. Councilor Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If we could take up the communication of 6.5 from the planning board, which was the recommendation that Mr. Geary talked about, and I would support to move approval. Thank you.
Motion to suspend the rules and also take up 6.5 out of order, seconded by Councilor Nuon. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6.5, communication, planning board recommendation for special permit amendment for the planned residential development known as River's Edge. Motion to accept by Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor Nuon. Roll call on 6.5.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Chau.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Juran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier.
Yes.
Counselor Nuon.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Motion to adopt 4.1 by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Robinson. Any discussion on the motion? Roll call.
We just did that.
We did for 6.5.
Okay.
For 4.1.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Chau.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Juran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier.
Yes.
Counselor Nuon.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Going back to the regular agenda,
Mr. Mayor?
suspension of the rules by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Dakota to take 5.5 out of order. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.5, Councilor Rourke, Councilor Nuon requests the City Council endorse a motion to name the Student Service Center at Lowell High School after former Mayor, City Councilor, Head of Schools, William J Samaras. No second needed.
There are registered speaker, Mr. Mayor. I'm Steve Panagiatakis.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Steve Panagiatakis, 191 Sanders Ave. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm here to speak in favor of motion 5.5 submitted by Councilors Rourke and Nuon, naming the Students Service Center at Lowell High School after William Samaras. Bill is somebody who has given his whole professional career to our city. As a teacher, as a curriculum coordinator, as assistant head of Lowell High School, and as head of Lowell High School. And when he could have very easily just went out into the sunset with a lot of achievement, he still had enough to give back. And he ran for city council, and he served on our city council, and he served as mayor and chairman of the school committee, and he did it with integrity and dignity, with honesty and competency. This is a fitting recognition for someone who was given his whole life to the city of Lowell. He's earned it, and he deserves it, and I hope that the members of the council will pass this to move it forward to the school committee for their deliberation and approbation. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Slattery.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the City Council, good evening and thank you. My name is David Slattery. I reside at 140 Glenwood Road here in Lowell. I'm a proud graduate of Lowell High School, class of 1989, and I currently serve as the academic chair for Phys Ed Health and Wellness at the high school. I am here this evening to speak in support of the motion to name the newly created Office of Student Support Services at Lowell High School in honor of Mr. William J Samaras. Bill has dedicated 44 years of service to the Lowell Public Schools as a teacher, administrator, and ultimately the head of school, which he held for 19 years. During his tenure, Lowell High School earned national recognition as one of the country's top urban high schools and was recognized for its excellence in leadership and management. More importantly, Bill was a tireless advocate for students. He understood that student success extends beyond academics and worked to ensure that students had access to support, opportunities, and resources they needed to thrive. Under his leadership, partnerships with local businesses, hospitals, banks, and community organizations helped raise more than $4.5 million in scholarships, all for Lowell High School students, creating opportunities that continue to benefit generations of graduates. I had the privilege of working with Bill and witnessed firsthand his commitment to students, staff, and the Lowell community. He fostered a culture where students felt supported, valued, and encouraged to reach their full potential. This new space reflects many of the values Bill championed throughout his career: compassion, inclusion, opportunity, and a commitment to helping every student succeed. Naming this space in his honor would be a fitting recognition for his years of dedicated service and the positive influence he continues to have on Lowell High School and the city of Lowell. I respectfully urge the council to endorse and support this motion. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Amuni Va. Corey Belanger.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clerk. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Great to be back in the chambers with you tonight. But I am here, as you'll see many more speakers after me, to support this one appropriate motion by Councilors Nuon and Rourke for a very special man. Absolutely committed to education in our city. We'd all have to look long and hard to match Bill's dedication and, what's more importantly, his accomplishments, what he's done in the city. Bill is a friend, headmaster, former colleague, and he's one person that many of us who served with him leaned on for education on more than one occasion. There was conversations, there was arguments, and let me tell you, he won every time. And I don't forget his friendship and what he's done for this city. And I ask that all you support this wonderful motion here tonight. It's a very appropriate motion. And again, I applaud the makers and I urge you to support this here tonight. Thank you very much.
Ray Booton.
Good evening. Ray Booton, 255 4th Avenue. Thank you, Mayor Gitcher, Mr. Manager, City Councilors, and staff. Special thank you to Deanne Rourke and Councilor Nuon for making this motion. I've known Bill Samaras for many years and found him to be somebody I respect and trust. He's dedicated so much of his life to the students at Lowell High School, the families of those students, and to the residents of the city with his continued volunteerism. Bill is the epitome of what we should strive to be, someone that gives of himself unconditionally. And although I may not always agree with my friend, Bill Samaras, we can agree to disagree, and that's why he's a true gentleman. I hope you consider this motion, and thank you for your time.
Edward Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. It's a real honor to be here to support my friend, Bill Samaras. I'll tell you that when I was a police chief here in Lowell, I'd look out my window and be able to see Lowell High. And almost every day, Bill and I spoke on the phone. And unfortunately, it was the bad old days here in the city, where there were gang fights and disorder at the high school all the time. Bill stepped up and really supported the idea of using school resource officers in the school. He and I stood shoulder to shoulder in providing the appropriate level of police presence, not overbearing, but in a community police orientation, to make sure that especially that lunchroom was safe during the day. And there were many days that I stood there with Bill when disturbances happened. But over time, things calmed down. And I can tell you I've never met anyone so committed to the school children in this city. My 3 children all graduated from Lowell High School. They knew Mr. Samaras. He did an admirable job in a very, very difficult position. And I fully support this motion, and I thank the councilors for bringing it forward. Thank you.
That portion is closed. Councilor Nuon. Councilor Nuon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank all the speakers who came before us and spoke in support of William Samaras. I call him a.k.a. Mr. Mayor till this day. I think the last speaker spoke of, we talk about his lifelong commitment to education, civic service, and community building. The last speaker spoke of crime or violent prevention. It's fitting at that time when then Superintendent Ed Davis was in charge of the Lowell Police. You see the rise of gang violence in the city of Lowell. Kids afraid to come to school, or even at school, worry about violence going to take place. Mr. Samaras, at that time, the head of school, have not only partnered with the Lowell Police Department, but with the District Attorney Office then, Tom Rowley. Their relationship continued to this day. Same as Chief David, but Commissioner David. His career as former Senator Steve Panchitakas spoke of is reflection of that lifelong commitment. He has been honored with many awards, one of which that his treasure most was the Patrick J. Morgan 2022 award for promoting Lowell as an educative city, recognizing his role in elevating the city educational profile. He's done a lot on that area, the Lowell Learning City as well, with a number of key players in that committee. His story is one of long-term service, integrity, and vision, providing that leadership in education and public service can have a lasting positive impact on a city, and certainly have done that. In honor of him tonight, we celebrate not only his achievement, but also his legacy of leadership, mentorship, dedication that have brought to Lowell a legacy that will continue to inspire future generations. So I urge my colleague tonight to support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Nuon. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I also thank the speakers coming out today and talking a little about Bill and his background and his history here within the city of Lowell. You know, in discussions just over the past couple of days with Councilor Nuon and a couple of others, in 2016, and I know Mr. Mayor and a number of my colleagues here on the council currently would have ever guessed I'd be filing a motion to honor Bill Samaras for anything other than maybe a porta potty. We'd be surprised. But that has to go towards who the man is, the person that he is. You know, we went at it on a weekly basis during the high school location debate, during the election of the 2017 city council race. And through it all, Bill was always someone that you could still talk to. You could disagree with him. He had his reasons and we had ours. And I say we, Mr. Mayor, because I think the council that's before you tonight would have a different outcome than what happened back then. But, you know, Bill is a good person. He has a good heart. And I just want to mention some of the accomplishments that he made while headmaster at Lowell High. And, you know, there's probably half the people in this chamber that were students at the high school during his tenure as headmaster. He started the Freshman Academy. He began the process for the Lowell High School Distinguished Alumni Awards. He created the Latin Lyceum program. And as Chief Davis said earlier, the DARE program started under Bill Samaras, which transitions into the police being in the schools, not just Lowell High, but throughout the city of Lowell. Those student resource officers not only kept the schools safe, but they made that connection with young adults that I'm sure has lasted a long time after leaving Lowell High School. And that's a credit to Bill Samaras. When we had Mr. Slattery talking about his experiences at the high school, Bill led Lowell High to the 25th ranked urban high school in the country. It's an incredible accomplishment for the city of Lowell under Bill's watch. He also, was very important to him, started the first full-time adult basic education program. Think of the amount of people that have gone through that program over the course of the years. So it's not just the young ones that Bill had a look over. And, you know, he talked about the Lyceum program. You know, Bill insisted that this program be available to every single student that applied himself or herself. This was not secular at all. He wanted to make sure that this was available to each and every student, regardless of background, to give them what they needed to go on to college or to a better education overall. It's with great pleasure tonight being on this council to bring this motion forward. I think the Student Service Center is a just place to honor Bill, the work he has done, and again, you know, being the person that he is, going through a very difficult time in our city's history, to come out on the other end. You know, Bill was one of the main cogs in the program to revitalize College Stadium. That's still under the process now. We see the progress that's going on out there. Again, he joined a group of mainly people that were associated with the College Stadium High School location. And Bill willingly and offered his services to help in that regard. Again, all for the benefit of the kids and for no political reason whatsoever. So after my colleagues are done speaking, Mr. Mayor, I would request a roll call to honor Bill Samaras. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rourke. Councilor Chau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to thank both councilors that make the motions for bringing this up. It's well deserved. I can't think of a better person who this be more fitting. And I want to thank all the speakers who spoke highly factual, all the achievements that Mayor Samaras has. One of the things I like hearing from one of the speakers was about Mayor Samaras being a teacher. And I believe that once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher. I remember when I first ran for office, we were not on the same policy, the same platform, but he actually called me out to have a coffee with him to sit down to discuss the issues. And it was a advising moment. Not trying to change my mind or anything, but just trying to show me how to be a good politician, how to be a good public figure, and he was very, very encouraging. And after all the achievements, after all the titles he had, he could have went off into the sunset, but he didn't. He still stayed on the inside Lowell to talk, and he talked with everybody, and there's not too many issues in the city that that he doesn't know, he's not aware of. And the way I look at Mr. Samaras, we always think about Lowell as being a small city or a village. And if that is true, I think of Mr. Samaras as an elderly statesman. He's always trying to keep the peace among all of us in a city like where politics and community opinions are very vibrant. He's always there to support different type of opinion, trying to keep peace and make all of us to be better human being and to be better leaders. So I will definitely support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Chau. Councilor Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an excellent motion, no doubt about it. Although I was a little skeptical, sitting on the fence, thinking about that old adage, behind every successful man is that very supportive wife. And I couldn't help think of Joyce, the woman that made him what he is today. So I wanted to make a shout out to Joyce because she did a tremendous job with this guy named Bill Samaras. So I am definitely supporting this. I can't think of a better human being. Loved his students, loved the school system, and loved the city of Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Councilor Liang.
Sorry about that. I'm honored to sit here today in support of this motion. When you speak about teachers, I can't bring myself to call him Bill because he's Mr. Samaras. I am one of the graduate in 1989 Lowell High School, just like one of the speakers that just spoke here a minute ago. This is an honor, and not just here around the school area. In the Cambodian community, he's highly respected. In other community around the city as a community advocate, I know he is also highly respected. As one of the Cambodian teacher who taught during that time, he was honored that Mr. Samaras brought in the bilingual program, the Cambodian program, and introduced into the curriculum. So, I mean, I'm more than happy and really, again, very honored to sit here in support of this motion and in support of Mr. Samaras, and thank him for all the things that he's done for the community and for the students, and as well for me. Like I said, I'm one of the graduates from 1989. Thanks.
The air quality in that building in 1989 must have been something. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to commend my colleagues for this motion. I heard what Ray Booten said, and it really resonated with me, a true gentleman, and that is exactly how I think of Bill Samaras. He always comes up to you with a smile, he's mild-mannered, but yet he definitely knows how to take action as well. He has no problem coming up and educating you. His past experience as a teacher definitely resonates every time he speaks with you. So I think there's nobody more deserving of this, and thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you, Councilor Scott. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Chau.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Gitchia.
Yes.
Councilor Juran.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor McDonough.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Nuon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Going back to the motion portion, 5.2, Councilor Mercier requests the city manager install speed bumps in the 300 area of Concord Street between Sherman and Rogers Street, seconded by Councilor Nuon.
Woohoo! Thank you, Vesna. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that a few neighbors asked me if there were a list for speed humps, I don't know if there's a list anywhere. If there is, if we could put this on it, and the motion speaks for itself.
Manager Golden?
Too much speeding going on in that particular section, so that's why.
Manager Golden?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We'll make sure we get this over to Ms. Altman to do the appropriate study to make sure it can happen.
Sure.
And we'll put that to the list, and we'll get back to you on it.
Well, Concord Street is a long street, but you notice I narrowed it down to the area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Juran?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I thank Councilor Mercier for the focus on traffic calming measures. We did have some motion responses from Ms. Altman back in February and March that outlined, and I could summarize, but I won't, but how many requests there have been in the city and a process that she has recommended so that we aren't playing whack-a-mole around the city, because we have so many neighbors and residents in our community that want traffic calming. Clearly, we have been trying to address this in lots of ways over the course of many years, and including other motions around speed limits, both in the past and this year. So I think looking back at those responses can be helpful as we think about how neighbors can think about what is going on in their entire neighborhood rather than just one street at a time, so that we're not kind of just shifting the problem from one street to another, which is, I think, what Ms. Altman outlined in those responses. So I think it would be helpful for all of us to relook at those. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Juran. Seeing no one else. All in favor of the motion? Any opposed? So ordered. 5.3, Councilor Scott requests the city manager work with the appropriate departments to communicate with the MBTA and advocate for the installation of fencing, barriers, or other appropriate safety measures along the railway corridor adjacent to the Butler School in order to deter unsafe pedestrian crossings and improve student safety. Seconded by Councilor McDonough. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was actually at the request of the community schools manager from the Butler School. They reached out to ask for our help advocating for this to happen. And they worked with a contractor, I guess it's ACOM, from Mass DOT on the Safe Routes to School initiative. And one of the findings was that there was a good number of children crossing on the high-speed tracks behind the school, and they were very concerned about it. They did reach out. They've been working closely with our traffic engineer, and they did reach out to the MBTA, but they have not received a response. So they asked for us to possibly write a letter advocating for this to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scott. See no one else. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.4, Councilor Scott requests the city manager have the appropriate department report to the Finance Subcommittee on potential strategies to reduce major stressors on the city's budget, including but not limited to health insurance costs, pension obligations, charter school assessments, overtime expenditures, and energy costs. Further, that the report identifies areas where the city council can advocate for legislative relief or policy changes to help mitigate these financial pressures. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Scott.
Thank you. Sorry, I know that's kind of long, but we went through a very difficult budget season. We saw how hard it was to even come up with small cuts from within the budget. So my thought process is really to look at what we can do better to advocate for legislative changes around some of the big money issues, charter school costs, health insurance costs. I think we had a tough season. I think it could be even worse. We have some possible excise tax losses, a sales tax decrease coming down the pipeline. So if there's a way for us to be better advocates, I did see some cities were able to advocate for public safety earmarks through their legislators, and also possibly more participation in the Mass Municipal Association. If we could, look at maybe having a representative dedicated to being more involved that way, I think it would be a good process for us. Thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.6, Councilor Juran requests the city manager provide a summary of any city regulations regarding short-term rentals, including Airbnbs or similar programs in rooming houses. Seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Juran.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So from time to time, residents have expressed concerns about what other homeowners, how they use their property. And I don't know what the regulations are, and I suspect many people in Lowell also don't, and have different perspectives, I think, on what the rules are regarding short-term rentals, whether through Airbnb or otherwise, and also don't really know what a rooming house actually is. Again, I think there are many perceptions out there. I did find the city regulations for rentals of more than 30 consecutive days, but I couldn't easily find those around these other issues, and they're quite possibly there, but my searching wasn't helpful. So I think it would be helpful to get a report to point property manager, property owners, and residents generally to the rules so that we all know them and are on the same page. And then when residents want enforcement, we will all be on the same page and knowing what it is that we're talking about with respect to enforcement. Thank you.
Councilor Chau?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering if we could take up 510 at the same time. Is that a short-term rental? Similar motions?
Motion to
Bundle.
suspend the rules and take 510 out of order at the same time. Is this one seconded by Councilor Nuon? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.10, Councilor Chau requests the city manager have the proper departments provide a written report on the city's enforcement of short-term rental regulations, including responsible departments, estimate numbers of active short-term rental violations, and enforcement actions over the past 24 months. Seconded by Councilor Nuon. We got both of them going at the same time. Anybody else?
Councilor, you finished on your comment?
No, I'm
How
done.
did you
Yes.
want to
Wonderful.
say something? Councilor
Thank you,
Chau?
Mr. Mayor. Similar to Councilor Belinda Juran, my motion, so I know that short-term rentals are legal, so I don't know if you have any properties or unit that are listed that the inspection office can go check up regularly because it's not legal. I don't think we have any proper way to check it, but the way that the inspection office go out is when there's complaint from neighbors. And as I walk through different neighborhoods the past couple months, some of the residents, they're pointing out that there are many vehicles that park there for like the whole 2-3 weeks, different state license plates. They don't live there per se. They don't know who the landlord is. So I think, I don't know how the city could come up with some kind of a report, but I'd like to see a report if any been complaints from the resident on violations on this short-term rentals and so forth. That's just a way for us to have an idea how many types of these units are in existence. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through the council. Councilors, and to the general public, this is going to be a challenge. The first and foremost, if anyone is renting under 30 days, that's illegal per our ordinances. So that's a problem. I personally went onto the Airbnb site myself, and then I did see what I thought to be housing in and around the university area. So I think some are using the Airbnb site just to continue to push out their ability. But rooming houses in the city of Lowell, unless they are certified, are illegal. So if anyone's seeing this, please let Mr. Machado know, myself, DDS, Ms. Rose, let us know what is happening in the community, and we will check to see how we can. Now, there's a whole bunch of ways that cause us angst to try to get this information. And I want you to know that we have looked at this, but this is not going to be an easy ask, not because we don't want to do it. It's just it's a problem. So to the council, if there's an idea or a thought, please let us know. But we've had Mr. Fuller, our commissioner, look at this particular matter. Mr. Machado is very familiar with this matter, as well as all of our inspectors are always on the lookout. But if those addresses pop up to you or somebody says something to you, please let us know as soon as possible, and we will do what we can to stop the illegal behavior. Once again, there are some rooming houses within the city, but they are inspected once a year.
Thank you, Manager Golan. Councilor Juran.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what the city manager just said. However, the fact that you're actually pointing to something that says both situations are illegal, and I couldn't find where they are, is what I want to have answered, is where do we say that they're illegal and what it is that's illegal, so that we can, know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Juran. All in favor of 5.6 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. All in favor of 5.10 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.7, Councilor McDonough, Councilor Robinson request the city manager to have the appropriate department provide an update on the current policy regarding SGARs using an integrated pest control management requirements on projects in the city of Lowell, and provide an update on proposals to reduce SGARs use to the greatest extent possible within the city. No second needed.
There's a registered speaker, Mr. Mayor. Joanne Dawson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Manager, and City Councilors. My name is Joanne Dawson. I live at 61 Enfield Street in Lowell, and I'm here tonight in support of Councilor McDonough and Councilor Robinson's IPM motion. First of all, I'd like to thank you all and the City Administration for continuing to look for means to further the adoption of integrated pest management practices throughout the city and reduce the use of the devastating poisons as a first step go-to in rat-mouse control. Your unanimous decision last year to ban second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides on all city-owned property was more than a policy change. It was an act of leadership, and it sends a clear message that our community will not tolerate poisons that endanger children, pets, wildlife, and the very ecosystems that keep our city healthy. This impact was recently proven when Lowell Housing Authority, the state's third largest public housing authority in Massachusetts, created an RFP that defined clear, strong IPM requirements as part of for the proposals, and the resulting agreed upon pest control plan explicitly excluded the use of SGARs. So that was a significant first step towards real IPM, and it goes, beyond the property that's within the city control. So it's definitely due to the city leadership. Transitioning to real IPM is not a one and done action. Adopting and enforcing IPM best practices to prevent rat and mouse infestations is more than about restricting poisons. It's about proactively looking for opportunities throughout the city processes to implement IPM best practices, prevention, control, and monitoring requirements in areas such as procurement, contracts, enforcement, and permitting. Communication and education regarding these policies is key to success. There are many examples from other communities to draw from to help establish these requirements and processes. Local education and policy are currently our strongest tools for protecting pets, children, and wildlife, and tonight we're asking that Lowell continue to use these tools wherever possible. We look forward to working alongside you until Massachusetts becomes a statewide leader in eliminating these poisons for good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Robinson.
I'd like to thank the speaker. Again, I think we've had some early conversations about this, and we just did a proclamation for American Eagle Day, and these are the kind of the initiatives that we can take to kind of keep those kind of initiatives moving forward. We've had a subcommittee where I think we made really good progress prior to Ms. Baez-Rose taking a vacation or a break, but now she's back, and I'm hoping that we can get back to a subcommittee meeting to really roll up our sleeves and dig back in on this, because there was some great ideas move forward to tie in with different kind of projects and requirements from the city when we start looking at tax incentives and different mechanisms that we can use to kind of incentivize developers and people to step up and say, okay, we're willing to work with you on this, because I know we banned on public property, but private is a whole different ballgame. So anything we can do to try to incentivize people on private property, it's a no-brainer, as well as baking it into policy that we establish moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is an area, like my colleague just said, this is an area that this administration and past councils have made a lot of progress. I think it's just a matter of making sure we keep the ball moving forward, and also are keeping the public aware of what's going on and the progress that's being made. I think this goes slightly outside the scope of just this motion, but it can at times be difficult for Joe Public or whoever to figure out where we are on any particular policy or administration or administrative initiative, where we have the subcommittee meeting, it goes to a department, we know that the department's working, the administration knows the department's working, but without any kind of status update, sometimes members of the public are kind of wondering, hey, didn't however many months ago we talked about this, I'd like to know what's going on. I agree with Councilor Robinson. I think the last subcommittee meeting, the Economic Development Subcommittee meeting, we had talked about the possibility of tying integrated pest management into a formula and in determining some tax incentives. I think there's a number of other tools available that have been discussed previously by a past council. I guess I'm looking forward to the continued good work. So thank you.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.8, Councilor Robinson, request the city manager have the proper department provide a recommended path forward to beautify areas of the reservoir utilizing the planting of pollinators. Seconded by Councilor Rourke. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This was brought forward by some residents, and I think it's a great idea. We did do a lot of tree removal and a lot of work like that up in that area to protect the high hazard dam from penetration of the roots up at the res. And they said, hey, how about looking at maybe hillsides and stuff like that that's not going to require maintenance, that we could plant pollinators and just leave it natural, leave it where butterflies and other animals would benefit and insects would benefit from. And again, it's very low maintenance. There's no threat to harming the high hazard dam. So anything we can do to help and work with the neighborhood up there to kind of beautify it while serving a dual purpose would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.9, Councilor Chau requests the city manager direct the appropriate department to investigate and report on the cause of the HVAC issues in the Lowell Public School buildings, including the control connection issues involving the new boiler systems, and provide recommended corrective actions in a timeline to ensure such failures do not reoccur. Seconded by Councilor Dakota. Councilor Chau.
Mr. Mayor, could we take it out with your motion as well on 512?
Sure.
Andolum?
Yep. Motion by Councilor Chau to suspend the rules to take 5.12 out of order, seconded by Councilor Dakota. Mayor Gitcher requests the city manager have the proper department prepare a list of schools with air conditioning and schools without air conditioning. Further provide information of schools with air conditioning not operating and the plans to repair them. Councilor Chau.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess you, Mr. Mayor, myself, and all the councilors were feeling the heat really last week, and we've been reached out by multiple teachers, families about the heating conditions, the hot in the classroom and so forth. The school buildings in the city of Lowell have been very fortunate to receive the MSBA funding for the boilers. Tremendous achievement, and my motion, I want to focus on the controller, because if you don't have a working controller that work with the new boilers, the new system, things might have glitch, it doesn't work properly, and so that the public out there know these controllers, they're not small like a single family, they're huge and expensive. I actually advocated a few years ago in the amount of $150,000 from the state just to work on one controller at the Mercier school. And still there's some issues at that school still. So this is just to get a report how the facilities are working to make sure that the controllers are functional well with the boilers. so that would work properly both during the winter and the summer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Chau. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looks like Vice Mayor. Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the city manager, I guess, and I do want to, I'll start, before I do this, sorry, I'll start by thanking Councilor Chau and the mayor for bringing a motion forward to talk about this, but I get all the emails that we all got. My wife also still gets all the emails that the UTL gets. It's not that hard to check both. And I think it's worth reminding, I guess, the people that still teach in Lowell, and some counselors might be concerned. I do have a job August 28th. Thank you. But so, Mr. Vice Mayor, through you to the city manager, how much money, ballpark, the investment that the past two councils and that your administration has made in the Lowell Public Schools facilities?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. Approximately since 2022, we've spent probably north of $76 million. And that is, it's a great question, because we really started to attack this in 22 with the preventative maintenance side of this. We've really gone aggressive, but we've gone aggressive at this because, quite frankly, this council, the council before, and the council before that has drawn the map as to what they wanted the administration to do. So what we've done, and quite frankly what the taxpayer has done, and what our partnership with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts with the Mass MSBA ARP program has spent since 22, $76 million, give or take. That is excluding the high school. So we've made this comment multiple times. I love the question. Thank you very much, Councilor. We're in the process of obviously rebuilding our high school, but we have not forgot our K through 12 building, our K through 8 buildings. There has been some concern. Some people have thought that our air conditioning doesn't work, and in some instances, we don't have air conditioning in some of those buildings. I'm going to prepare a report for everybody. I've been talking to Mr. St. Cyr about this as to the number of schools that do have it. But the concentration from 2022 until about last year has been on heating systems. I've made this comment on the floor on a number of occasions. It was December of 2022. We were receiving 5 phone calls, and if it was a day, of different schools that didn't have heat. I'm not saying that the schools are perfect at this point in time, but they are much better. And I also want to say thank you very much to the Sustainability Division, which was created a few years back with Ms. Moses and Mr. St. Cyr and everybody working on that. I know Ms. Rose had a lot to do with that, but we're looking at a Renew America's School grant that I know we received for $15 million, and that is forward-thinking. Former Jeanne d'Arc School, another $5 million. So I've gone way off track. I gave you the number. I apologize, but I get excited to talk about this because this is what this council, this city, has not been kicking this administration has not been kicking the can down the road, but in some aspects, some people think they have air conditioning when, quite frankly, they haven't had it for a decade or so.
And part of the reason I asked, and thank you for sharing in as much detail, part of the reason I asked is that oftentimes it feels like, no one ever sends an email when things go well, right? That's not how it works. And I get that. But, on the floor, sometimes I think it's important to remind people that even though, and I've worked for however many years, sometimes it's very hot in schools, and it's not unique to Lowell either. I don't like it. I don't like sweating at work. There are things that you can do to try and work around it. There are some classrooms full of with students with particular medical needs that have requirements for certain climate control. I will say that in my experience, the Lowell Public Schools does a approaching adequate job at trying to get localized climate, it's flexible, approaching adequate job at trying to get climate control localized in school buildings where it's necessary, when you have students with medical needs, when you have, other compounding circumstances within a single classroom or just a single area of the school. But I would also remind anybody at home that, retrofitting the wing is one example with a cooling system is not, it's not a trip to Home Depot. That's a substantial investment for, and I'm sorry, and I'll take the emails and you guys will probably get left off the list on the next round, but that's a substantial investment for what amounts to about 3 weeks of the school year where we have temperatures over 90 degrees. And it is awful, and I hope that as we continue to go forward and as this administration and this council continues the investment in the infrastructure and in the school facilities, there'll be improvement. But I do think that, we do all need to just acknowledge that, we have the summer off.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Vice Mayor Nuon. Through you to Manager Golden. I'm more interested in the solutions here and more interested in which schools have AC and which ones don't. And the population of the schools and what are they going to do with these schools going forward. And I asked that question on the school committee side is, are there school buildings we're not going to use in the future? Are we putting too much effort into those buildings where we could be putting it elsewhere? And I think that's an important driver in this whole thing is to look at, okay, if we're going to fix these, what's our capital plan going forward? Are we looking at, okay, this, or are we just trying to put out fires as people? I had a person reach out to me that said the AC wasn't working in one school. There's no AC in the school. That's the reason why it wasn't working. And I think that people have to understand what has AC and what doesn't have AC. And if we're going to start school after September, now you're pushing into the hotter end of June. So we really have to look at, those things when we determine everything. So on the report I'm really looking for is which schools have AC and which ones don't. And what is the plan going forward? Obviously, if they have baseboard, you're going to have a hard time putting air conditioning in it because you don't have ductwork. So those are things that we have to really look and include in our MSBA stuff when we start looking forward in the age of the system. So it's not as simple as just changing a furnace and putting AC on a furnace and it gets to AC. So thank you.
Mr. Manager. Would you like to respond? No? All set? Right.
Thank you. I guess at the end there was really no question to that. I'm just looking for a capital plan and see which ones have them and which ones don't so that we can actually have good answers as a committee. And some of us don't know, so when they're sending it to us, I'm sending it over to Assistant City Manager Machado or to the manager, and they're saying there's no AC in them. So, Councilor Yang.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to both for the motion. I got the email and got into the heat just like everybody else is here. My concern is that when I saw that, it's more about the kid, and I think it's a good idea if we have a list of school who don't, that doesn't have AC, so that parent can prepare for their kid because their health is number one concern, and when it gets hotter, and especially when there's the school that don't have AC, but the parents don't know and might sending their kid to school, it could be a problem. So thank you for the motion, and I'm really concerned about the kid, but I'm happy that the temperatures go down a little bit, and we're doing something about it.
Thank you, Councilor Yang. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry for a double comment. I just remembered the climate award student reception that took place in the mayor's reception room before the meeting, and one of the discussions that was had over there was with someone from the Lowell Parks and Conservation Trust, and the discussion had turned towards Greening the Gateway Cities initiative and looking towards some tree plantings and some state or other monies that were available to assist with tree plantings on and around municipal properties. And while that's not a super immediate fix, starting to add some trees and greenery and shade near are full sun exposed schools that just sit and bake and get even hotter than they need be, whether they have AC or not. I think the Greening the Gateways City or other ways of funding these tree plantings could be a potential low cost way to help mitigate them. That's not a panacea, but it might help a bit. So thank you.
Thank you, Council McDonough. The manager and I have had that conversation just probably 6 months ago.
Mr. Mayor.
I'm sorry, Council Scott.
Sorry, thank you. I don't want to make light of the discussion at all because, I mean, I have 2 children in other towns working inside of schools that have no air conditioning. So I certainly have heard about how bad it is within the schools without air conditioning in this temperatures. But I did point out to the people that reached out that it is a massive undertaking to try to retrofit schools with air conditioning at a time where we're in the middle of a fiscal crisis. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. I did suggest that they possibly, reach out to the school committee, to the superintendent about, whether or not they can limit days off, whether or not they can maybe have a policy around a half day, which the state would count as a day of school on times where it's over 90 degrees or a heat wave or something going on. So I would just put those things out there, I guess, as suggestions that they possibly reach out and advocate for different solutions. Thank you.
Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with Councilor Scott. Especially if the administration knows that we're going to have a streak of 90-plus degree days. Call for half a days. Give the parents a 24-hour notice. The half a days is still considered full days in the school calendar day. So I think that's something that the school committee should bring forward to the superintendent. Thank you very much.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I too have received quite a bit of emails, and I think again this just only further emphasizes the need to really look at centralized facilities because, I mean, even once we can improve and correct the air conditioning in all classrooms, it's going to take long-term maintenance and a commitment to that too. So we've been trying to get there. I'm sure we will, but it's just a matter of when. Thank you.
All in favor of 5.9 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. All in favor of 5.12 signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 5.11, Councilor Chau requests the city manager have the traffic engineer conduct a traffic and safety study at the intersection of Baltimore Ave and West Albert Street on the feasibility of installing a stop sign and any other appropriate traffic calming measures. Seconded by Councilor Mercier. Councilor Chau.
Motion speaks for itself.
Oh, boy. Nice. Mr. Mayor, I got to say something. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Would like that.
Councilor Rourke.
Yeah, and I know the mayor will stay out of this one, but yeah, as someone who lived in this area for a good part of 20-something years, to put a stop sign at Baltimore Ave and West Albert where there's one house, maybe 2 houses, till the street ends on one end, I'm not sure how that does any traffic mitigation whatsoever. I'm sure that Councilor Chau got this from a constituent looking for some sort of idea. I thought the West 57th Street stoplight was bad. This one here would
Some reason I knew that was going to come out, Danny.
it's again, I mean, maybe a speed hump, but I don't know how. I mean, it's a residential one street. There's only one way on Chelmsford Street. That's it. West Albert there's no other way to get out of there other than going to Stevens. So I'm not sure. I mean, the pressure that would be set, put a stop sign here. You might as well, Mr. Manager, get about 9,000 stop signs and put them in every corner of the street. So just trying to make Mr. Altman's job a little bit easier on this one. But I apologize for I know Councilor Chau was trying to get us through the motions, but I had to say it. Thank you. We'll get you back.
I don't think I will ever say motion speaks for itself anymore. I need to defend it. I need to defend it going into the future.
He tried to sneak it by. I'll give you credit. Yeah, right. Yeah.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6, communications from the city manager. Motion response A, Lowell High School solar update. Mayor Getchia. Yeah, thank you for the response. Anybody else? Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Juran. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Motion response B, Douglas Road. Councilor Juran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just wanted to thank Mr. Fox for attending the Belvedere Neighborhood Association meeting in May to give residents a heads up about this detour, and then providing this map and the photo of the 6-foot diameter pipe that will be installed. I think that was helpful to see the size of that pipe. I've shared this motion or this informational report with the neighborhood association, and we'll do so again tomorrow. I think we have a meeting scheduled. It hasn't been quite confirmed yet, but I'll also share it on social media. But I think it's very helpful. Thank you to Mr. Fox and his team.
Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Juran, seconded by Councilor Liang. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Motion response C, Culverts. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor, and just a thank you to the city manager for your advocacy on this to get the culvert funding for Butler Street, which will be starting this fall. Residents are very happy because the road's been closed off, obviously, and also for getting funding for the planning part around Woburn Street. Hopefully we can be real aggressive still on the funding for that. I mean, having Woburn Street obviously closed would be a huge issue for the city, I believe. So again, thank you for all your work on it.
Manager Golden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the shout out there, but I have to also give a shout out to a dear friend of mine, Mr. Paul Stedman from Mass DOT. I've worked with Paul for over 30 years probably at DOT, and he's always looking out for us. And I want to say thank you to Paul, all of District 4, and of course newly interim Secretary Yang. But Mr. Stedman and his team, with the small team that they do one heck of a job for us up here. And thank you very much, Councilor, for that. This money coming in was really about the planning with our folks, with Aaron Fox, who I know just is here tonight, with the planning that happened here and with Woburn Street, and discussing the challenges and the problems that if one of these areas were to go down, we need to move. I'm very happy that Billerica Street is moving, and hopefully before the end of this year. So thank you, Councilor.
Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Robinson. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Motion response D, Data Center Public Meeting. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, and thank you again to the manager for this and for DPD for working to make this happen, to our Assistant City Manager, Giovanni Baez-Rose. I think it's very important that we have public input from the residents. I think it's great that we are opening this up. So the Data Center Forum is to listen to ideas around our zoning reform around data centers. It is Monday, June 29th from 6 to 7 p.m. at the Butler School. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scott. Councilor Juran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I think this will be a great meeting. I do wonder if there's a possibility that a quorum of the City Council could be at the meeting, because this is an area of interest. So if that were the case, I'm wondering if the city solicitor could give us some guidance on how we can ensure that we're not going to violate the open meeting laws. Thank you.
Solicitor Williams.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It would be appropriate for more than a quorum to be there. It can be a fine line to walk. Matters that would have either come before the council that maybe still be outstanding, or something else that is going to come before the council. If councilors were discussing back and forth, sharing opinions on something specific like that, that would cross over into what is known as a quote-unquote deliberation under the open meeting law. But if councils are all there and there's a quorum and they're doing what everyone else is doing at that meeting, whatever that might be, something that you wouldn't expect to see on the council floor, then I don't see any issues with the open meeting law in that scenario.
Thank you, Solicitor Williams.
So just to follow on, so for instance, I mean, I'm assuming listening is perfectly fine, but starting to debate with either the public or other counselors on whatever, setbacks or who knows what, seems to me concerning.
Solicitor Williams.
I think if a council were to have a conversation like that with someone who was not a city councilor, again, I don't see any issues with that. I think if that conversation that you just described were having that took place amongst councilors, then I think it probably crosses over that line. But I do think there is a way that the council can handle that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Juran. Councilor Scott.
Just to clarify, I mean, the session, the format of it is to provide input to planning and development. So I don't see it as a debate, any type of debate. I'm sure that's not what they want to get into at this meeting. So as a private resident, I mean, just like anyone else, I think you'd be able to provide your feedback on what you'd like to see in zoning. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scott. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Scott, seconded by Councilor Mercier. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Motion response E, Senior Center. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you.
Before we say anything, Councilor Robinson, I just want to say that this is going to go in executive session. So
Yes.
just be.
And that's what I was going to say. Thank you for the report. And I saw we have executive session on the end of the agenda, so I look forward to that discussion later. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Liang. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. Motion response F, Charter School. Councilor Dakota.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I do appreciate the administration sending out letters to the state representatives. I would ask Mr. City Manager if we can kind of keep an eye on this, and hopefully some type of a bill or something is being discussed in the state legislature. I'm sure all the cities and towns in Massachusetts are going through a lot of this, and we're going to be dealing with this in next year's budget. It's a big budget buster, so let's try to stay on this if we could. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dakota. It's Councilor Juran.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and this was a very helpful report. I'm still analyzing all this data myself, but in the letter to the state delegation, there were two requests. One is a review on whether full or improved state reimbursement is feasible, and then, if not feasible, some possible suggestions. If it is feasible, since there's an opportunity to have either full or improved state reimbursement, I'm not sure how we want to clarify what our goal is. So it seems like there is sort of two parts of the if, and we've only addressed the one. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Juran. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to my colleague for putting this motion, and thank you for sending off these letters. I agree. We really need to shine a flashlight on this and see if we can get any assistance. It goes back to what the colleague filed earlier. Anything that we can file to try to lessen the burdens that we're facing with the budgets. I think this is another example where any assistance that we can get from the state, or at least have them take a look at it and try to work out something. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Dakota, seconded by Councilor Nuon. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6.2 Informational Report. Traffic Ordinance Amendments. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. This is before all of you, just to see the different names, different locations. Any ideas, thoughts, or concerns, please let us know.
Councilor Juran.
Thank you very much. I know we had a conversation a few weeks ago about resident parking signs and when they can be removed. It just made me think about handicap parking signs, and not that I'm suggesting they be removed, willy-nilly, but I don't know what the process is, because it seems like, people can request a handicap parking sign, it gets put up, that's great. But do they stay up there permanently? Do we check every so often that it's still appropriate? Just trying to think about how that impacts the parking situation in the city, where somebody might have moved and no longer needs that sign, and yet I don't know if it actually gets removed or not. Thank you.
Manager Golan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the council. So yes and no. So yes, they typically stay. So if I needed a handicap parking spot out in front of my home, I moved, I sold it to you, you didn't need it anymore. Typically, we rely on the residents to call back and forth. When people are doing that, sometimes it's a I've lived in my house now for 22 years, so that's a lot of what's going on. But so it is a yes and no answer. But the neighborhood typically, I don't say council polices itself, but they'll be like, hey, we don't need that any longer. They'll let us know that, if that hopefully answers the question. We don't go back out and verify with something like that.
No, and I appreciate that you don't go back to verify, although I could imagine that not charging people for it, but somehow having a renewal process might be helpful to ensure that parking is, available where it's appropriate, but it just came to mind. Thank you.
Councilor Robinson. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor McDonough, then Councilor Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to just thank you to the city manager and the traffic engineer, and also just for the edification of everyone over at Renaissance on the River. Let them know that they have officially gotten their Perkins Street residential parking back. The Schedule X amendment is in this nice informational. I know there's a lot of good stuff in that informational, but that one I received a lot of phone calls about. And so I just wanted to make sure that if anyone is watching, it's there, you got it, it's fixed. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Councilor McDonough. Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. I'm just looking for clarification because in the text part of it, Schedule R, it says addition of a loading zone restriction on Hildreth Street for McKenna Ouellette Funeral Home for funeral queuing. Then under section 266-65, Hildreth Street, north side, beginning at a point 60 feet west of westerly curb line of Aiken Street, running west for a distance of 40. So, I mean, could they just send over a image? I'm fine with it. Just so I get a better idea of exactly where this is, in case I get any calls. Thank you.
If I could, Mr. Mayor? If I could, just bring a little clarification. For Councilor Robinson. What had been happening is there were cars that were parked on Hildreth at the driveway. So during funerals, they weren't being able to get in, and cars were parking from the apartment building. They were parking all the way to the corner of Aiken at Hildreth. So that was the reason I had asked Ms. Altman to look into it.
Okay, thank you. No, I get it now. It's okay, thank you.
Thank you. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Juran, seconded by Councilor Chau. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6.3, communication appointment. Neil Osborne to the Hunger Homeless Commission and Larissa Rabel Citizens Advisory Committee. Motion to adopt by Councilor Nuon, seconded by Councilor Juran. Roll call.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Chau.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Gitchia.
Yes.
Councilor Juran.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor McDonough.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Nuon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. 6.4, communication, resignation of Paul Belay from the Conservation Commission. Mr. Manager.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you to the council. I want to say thank you very much to the folks prior to that you just reappointed as well. But I also want to take this moment in time to thank a dear friend of mine, Mr. Belay, who has really given back to this community over, I don't even know anymore, the last 40 years. Met him during the Mother's Day storm so many years back, and he's consistently given back to the city. So to Paul and to his lovely wife, Janet, I just want to say thank you very much for everything that you've done here for the city.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Motion to accept and place on file by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Scott. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 6.5, communication, planning board recommendation for special permit amendment for the planned residential development. Oh, sorry. Yep, you're right. Sorry. 6.6, communication, city manager requests approval of out-of-state travel, 1 Lowell Police Department. Motion to adopt by Councilor Nuon, seconded by Councilor Mercier. Roll call.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Chau.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Gitchia.
Yes.
Councilor Juran.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Counsel McDonough.
Yes.
Counsel Mercier.
Yes.
Counsel Nuon.
Yes.
Counsel Robinson.
Yes.
Counsel Rourke.
Yes.
11 yeas.
Mr. Mayor,
Council Mercier.
we're going on to the votes of the city manager. Could I make a motion to bundle 7.1 to 7.18? Anybody that wants to talk to any of them, they can.
Motion by Councilor Mercier to bundle 7.1 to 7.18, seconded by Councilor Nuon. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 7.1, vote approve the FY 2027 Community Preservation Fund budget. 7.2, vote 246.1 Market Street CPC funding recommendation. 7.3, vote 267 Pawtucket Street CPC funding recommendation. 7.4, vote 93 Mammoth Road CPC funding recommendation. 7.5, vote All Wheels Welcome CPC funding recommendation. 7.6, vote Cobblestone CPC funding recommendation. 7.7, vote Mass Mill CPC funding recommendations. 7.8, vote Smith Baker Center CPC funding recommendation. 7.9, vote St. Anne's CPC funding recommendation. 7.10, vote Suffolk Place CPC funding recommendation. 7.11, vote Victorian Park CPC funding recommendation. 7.12, vote Affordable Housing Trust Fund CPC funding recommendation. 7.13, vote accept Francis Street and Canal Street as public ways. 7.14, vote accept gift of $22,500 from Spectrum Health Systems, Inc., Fire. 7.15, vote accept gifts of $22,500 from Spectrum Health Systems, Inc., LPD. 7.16, vote accept expend $1,275,000 Mass DOT grant. 7.17, vote accept expend $1,546,800 SSYI grant, LPD. 7.18, vote transfer $530,000 various year-end accounts.
There is one registered speaker on those matters. It's 7.8, Owen Kelly.
Good evening. It's Owen Kelly, 1005 Westford Street. I am here to speak in favor of the CPC recommendation for the Smith Baker Center. As the executive director of the Lowell Center for the Arts, the nonprofit taking over the building and leading the preservation efforts. I just want to give a really quick project status update for you all, just to let you know where we're at. Our current vision for the space includes a 500-seat performance and event hall on the upper former sanctuary space, and downstairs a 100-seat event and performance space as well. This also includes a full-service bar and restaurant, a shared-use commercial kitchen to be used for our in-house catering and a culinary incubator program, as well as classrooms and studios, administrative offices, rotating galleries and exhibit spaces, and a complete ADA overhaul for the space as well. Currently, our funding, we're sitting at about $1.5 million raised in capital for the project. This also, we have a commercial financing partner lending us about $1.4 million for the first phase of the project to take place this summer. The other funding, we've been recently awarded from the Mass Cultural Council a $200,000 grant from the Community Preservation Funds. The complete project and capital stack, we're looking at financing our historic preservation tax credits. We've received a positive recommendation from the National Park Service and Mass Historical Commission to max out those credits at 40% of the qualifying rehab expenditures. And then we're also looking at lending those, bridge loaning those tax credits over the next 5 years as we go through the project. Right now, current status, we are set to close on the sale of the building in just a matter of days at this point, just finalizing the last things on the closing agenda and getting everything all settled. But we're just about ready to move forward with closing, and our first phase one stabilization will begin this summer, which includes a full roof replacement, targeted masonry repair and repointing, and emergency window stabilization. We have lots of plans and renderings and things ready that we're happy to share for anybody that's interested, so we'll be able to bring those to you as well in the future. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Councilor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we're taking all of them, correct? So my question, well, first I'd like to commend the Community Preservation Committee for all their hard work vetting all of these projects and the many hours that they spent doing so. My question, though, is around the year-end transfers. Ms. Ball could answer a question for me. Hold on, sorry, I'm getting to it. the transfer to LPD professional services for $440,000. If you could just give us a little bit of insight into what that is. Thank you.
Mr. Ball?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Of course, Counselor. So, Counselor, it's for the body camera program for LPD. It's for the annual subscription for them. It was we previously got all the body cameras and the tasers by a grant. The grant has expired. LPD is still in the process of trying to find another grant to pay for this moving forward.
So they're looking for more grant opportunities so that we don't have to do this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Scott. Councilor Juran?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. This might be a question for the CFO or Deputy CFO. On the 7.1, the Community Preservation Fund budget, I see $130,000 for each of the three designated categories of spending. And I was just curious, and I may just have missed it in the data, but that's 10% of the expected revenue. I just wasn't sure if that 1.3 million was somewhere in the document, and I just didn't know where to look for it. So maybe it's through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CFO or to the DPD director or whomever is appropriate.
Assistant City Manager Byers-Rose?
Yeah.
Sorry. So every year, the funds that the CPC gets through our collection of CPA funds exceeds the sort of minimum 10%. So essentially what we do is all of the money goes into a sort of single pool. Then we have to identify the portion that we have to commit to these various buckets. And then everything that's left over, the committee can sort of make the decision how to disperse them. It's important that we do the breakdown of the 10% though, because those are the three required areas of funding. If for some reason the group decided, and actually this happened 2 years ago where we didn't put in open space projects, there were no open space projects, so that 10% had to sit in the account held separately. And so every year in advance of setting the coming year's budget, we work with the auditing department to understand what is available in those funds, what it has to be set aside for those individual pots, and then are able to sort of make the determination for the coming year's funding, how we're going to break that down. In addition to that, it's really helpful to understand what's available in the separate pots, because we do have some outstanding like loan funds that we have to pay against. The Raleigh's Farm project, for example, is one that is a loan that we'll be paying over time out of this same pot. So that's essentially how the group breaks it down, and then is helpful when we're administering the upcoming grant to know exactly what is available. And then the decision for the CPC would be, how much more than the 10% do they want to spend on any one of the particular sort of subject areas.
No, and that makes sense. I guess I was merely looking for, the 10% is based on 1.3 million, clearly, and it was just that number of 1.3 million. I didn't know where it was in all of those pages, like sort of how, that's all. But thank you. The other explanation was quite helpful, I think, generally. I do have some other questions. So anyway, if you can point me to that at some point, that would be helpful. I just couldn't follow. On 7.8, on the Smith Baker Center, I know that we are going to be discussing that in executive session tonight, so I don't know whether we should be discussing that now or postponing that discussion, because...
Manager Golan? Solicitor Williams?
I think it makes the most sense to discuss that tonight, and then maybe that can help sort of guide you in when and where and what you want to ask after that.
Okay, thank you. So I'll move on to 7.11, which was the Bacigalupo or Victorian Park. There is a recommendation for funding through CPC for 11 benches. And I was just curious because I've counted the benches there, and I can't imagine that you can fit 11 in there. So I was curious.
Assistant City Manager Byers-Rose?
So that request came as a joint request from the Downtown Neighborhood Group and DCR. So the neighborhood group had been working directly with DCR about about the bench replacement. So I believe that it's not just the little Victorian garden, right? So the whole area from essentially, I think, Merrimack to the worker statue on Market Street, that entire length of that area is owned and operated by DCR. And so this is more than just like the benches that are within like the garden fenced area. It's for essentially like that stretch.
Got it. Oh, that's helpful. Thank you. And last question was on 7.13 about accepting Francis Street and Canal Street. So I thought the explanation about why Francis Street is being named that and being named after James B. Francis was compelling, and I would suggest residents read it. But I was curious about the map, which shows not only Francis Street and Canal Street intersecting, but then a portion of Canal Street going off at a triangular angle along the Hamilton Canal garage or through it or something. I wasn't quite sure what that is. And that's my last question on this. But
It's a continuation.
Assistant City Manager Byers-Rose.
Oh, I think it shows it like a little bit on the grassy area. Is that what you're? Yeah. So that area is actually designed not to operate as like a through street, but to like hold food trucks, have things drive up on it as needed to host outside events. Getting the streets named to Francis and Canal, now that we're actually starting to talk about development along those parcels, is becoming really important. The garage has had for a while now an address of Thorndike Street, which messes people up when they're coming in. And so the extension of Canal, it sort of will stop being a drivable street up to a certain portion, and then it will still provide an address point for like if we're having events or trying to guide people to that space.
okay, thank you.
All set, Councilor Juran?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Juran. Councilor Mercier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I'd also want to thank the Community Preservation Committee for all their hard work. Not an easy thing to do, but they were diligently creative, and they did the best that they could, and I'm very grateful for them. And part of the vote tonight is from Spectrum Health System, where they're giving $22,500 to the Lowell Police Department and the same amount of $22,500 to the Lowell Fire Department. I'm very grateful for that. They're giving it to the Police Department for ongoing programs, services, and operational need. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank them. That's really generous. And is there a way that we could send them a thank you card or something? I think that's very kind. And lastly, I just want to say for the record, Mr. City Clerk, that 7.3, the vote is the Pawtucket Street funding for the Bridge Club, and I'm on the board. I can't vote for that, but I can vote as a whole, Mr. Solicitor. So just please note that I'm abstaining from 7.3. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Mercier. Councilor Dakota?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to speak briefly on 7.2 and 7.77. I was looking at this, each description, and I did notice on the Suffolk Place that this project's received $200,000 during the 2023 funding cycle, and an additional $200,000 during the 2024 funding cycle. Also to note, on Mass Mills, the project has received a total of $271,089, which is great, but then I looked up that both of these entities are receiving 7-year ties. So I have a feeling that it almost feels like they're double dipping to me. Is this common? Because to me, that money, I mean, having the tie that we gave them seems sufficient enough to me. Why are we giving them additional monies on top of that? So I guess it was
Assistant City Manager Byers-Rose?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Is it common? Yes. projects of this scale and magnitude do get really incredibly complex, like funding stacks. So this is not an uncommon thing for projects of these sizes to come in to multiple rounds of CPC and to sort of apply for and seek basically any funding that they can get their hands on. So, whether or not the council chooses that to support those additional recommendations, that's for you all to determine, but it is very common for a project of this size.
I just
to
looked at
seek those.
2023, 2024, 2025. I mean, how long does it go? And then we give them the tie on top of that. To me, I would rather see the money go to open space, to be quite frank. I just think this is a little bit overboard. I really do. So I will not be voting for those two. Thank you.
Council Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple of questions on the open space project that we're looking at in here, all wheels, upgrading city skate parks at Hadley, Cumanzelas, and Rotary Club Park, as well as increasing wheeled and accessible recreation and connecting the parks with a series of shared use paths and bike lanes. Can you elaborate a little or, on what that part of it means?
Assistant City Manager Byers Rose.
Yeah, so that one of the critiques that we've gotten in the past in previous open space plans, and is something that we hear, and we heard again during the master planning process, is like, we'll have locations that people want to get to, but they're not always easy to get to. Or if they're one place and want to go somewhere else, that there's like a gap in the connection. And so one of the things that the planning department is trying to think about is like, how do we create either bike lanes, or if there are opportunities to like extend canal walkways, for example, are there ways where we can be more strategic in laying out some of those like interconnections so that people can get to places and then go somewhere else with like a bike, for example, that you don't have to drive to a place, then use your bike and then get back in your car to do something else. And so a part of it is trying to think about there was a period of time where I think Lowell took money that was available to do bike lanes and put them where they were easy to put on our wider streets and examples like that. Father Morissette, I think, is a good example of that, but not necessarily the streets that people were using to get to places. And so that, to me, is like the critical next step of trying to connect amenities to other amenities without having to use a car. And so a component of this is trying to think about how can people get to multiple open space locations that have bike facilities on a bike. And so, how do you get to Cumanzelas from Hadley safely on a bicycle? How do you get to Rotary from Hadley, or anywhere really, on a bike? And so as we're expanding the amenities for bike users, it really only works if people can use their bikes to get there. And so that component of trying to think about that planning and interconnection is a part of what we're trying to expand.
Thank you very much. But again, if we're looking at a total funding recommendation of $300,000, and I don't see the entire $300,000 carving out a safe path for bikes from, say, Hadley to Rotary Park. I mean, you're going through some of whatever direction you go, you're going through pretty much downtown traffic to get there. So, I mean, how much of that $300,000 recommendation is going towards the actual open space improvement to the parks, the 3 locations, and then how much of it is kind of just on hold for those potential upgrades of shared use paths and bike lanes?
To clarify, Councilor, this is a design grant only.
A design grant? Oh, so this isn't even the work.
This is to do like the layout, to do the planning, to actually get construction documents, to try to figure out those interconnections. The original request was a component that was design and construction, and the vote was to fund the portion that would cover the design and ask to come back the following year for construction funds. So my anticipation is that DPD will be back in front of the CPC next year to say thank you for hopefully paying for this design, and now we actually want some construction money.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Robinson. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree wholeheartedly with my colleague down at the other end of the seat here. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around. Before I have a hard time wrapping my head around, I guess just for people at home and to make sure that my own math is correct, is there an easy percentage breakdown of the total allocation between the three pools on this recommendation? So I know the minimum is 10%, but of the recommendation, kind of what percentage that we're voting on? I have the number. I'm very nervous that I did math wrong on the back of my napkin. What percentage of this funding went to open space? What percent of the recommendation is for the community housing? What percentage of the funding is for historic preservation? I have it. Okay, I'm gonna trust my math. Hi. Thank you, Brad.
Good evening. Brad Butenhaus, Community Preservation Committee. While we don't have an exact breakdown of the costs, I will remind you that we are going to be paying off Raleigh's Farm for a considerable amount of time. We've spent more money on open space than we have any other bucket. And while I will always advocate for more open space, I don't think it's fair to discount some of these projects just because we have more or less open space projects this year. These couple projects that I think we're talking about right now will require funding year over year, and I would argue that they're projects that would be the direct benefit of our city. So, take that into advisement as you will. But we have spent a lot of money on open space through this committee and the history of it. So, thank you.
I want to thank. I'm going to butcher Mr. Butenhaus's last name, and I apologize. I tried. I did watch the CPC meeting, and I also want to thank him for his advocacy for fully funding these open space projects during the vote, if I remember watching that meeting in the way that went. And I have a hard time looking, like Councilor Dakota, looking and seeing projects that are awarded $200,000 and then $200,000, and then they apply for another chunk of money and they got a TIF. And I'm sure that it is a great project, and I'm supportive of that project. It's not that I'm not supportive of that project. There's a limited pool of money. And in front of this council have come several other, there were children, I think, who came in looking for money for a basketball court. I'm sure there's going to be more children coming to look for money for a basketball court. And so deferring the $300,000 to do one open space project, which still would not have, I don't know. I'm having a hard time, I'm having a very hard time with the recurring funding while not fully funding the only open space application that went in front of the committee. I did also, I guess I will walk back my full agreement with Councilor Dakota. The Mullins Mass Mills, I had, I think, promised at some point that if we didn't make any progress, I was also going to be a no on that. But I do think Mullins has made a decent amount of progress. I think the timeline on getting the Riverwalk reopened has adjusted. I don't want to put an exact date on it, but I know that we got a communication. I just don't have the note in front of me. It's sooner than we thought. I guess I'm just asking that, if not tonight, then going forward, that we try to fund these open space projects and not plan on multi-year projects when we know there's more coming in. And this is one of the only pots of money we have. This is the pot of money we have for these open space projects. Open space parks don't get TIFs. Parks don't get ties. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you,
If I could add one more comment about.
Can we just follow the
Sorry.
order here, please? Councilor Scott, and I'll get right
Thank
back.
you, Mr. Mayor. We've talked about this quite a few times about the open space projects, and I think it's been a pretty overwhelming vocalization by the City Council that we'd like to see more of them coming forward. Unfortunately, that did not happen, and this is the project that came forward. I think that the whole thing should have been funded, But I also can see the reasoning behind it is that they can't do the planning and the construction within the same year. So, I mean, I'm assuming there's plans not to have the work done and then not fund it next time around, even though there's guarantees of that, though, correct? Mr. Giovanni Baez-Rose, I mean, there's no guarantee that it'll be funded once, I mean.
I can guarantee there'll be an application put in.
An application put in, yeah. But as far as these other projects, the year over year, it's $200,000 each cycle for a project. I don't know, what is the overall cost on these projects? Do you know it all, Ms. Baez-Rose?
Off the top of my head, no. Like millions and millions of dollars, though.
Millions. So, I mean, this is just them coming forward for any pool that they can come to get funding to make development happen in the city, which is what we've been pushing for. And it's, you know, affordable housing units. And so I can see the reasoning behind it. Again, I also share disappointment, though, that $300,000 was not funded during this budget cycle. And I would say again that I do want to see more open space projects in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Scott. Mr. Budenhauser.
I will reiterate what was just commented on by DPD Director Baez-Rose, that we do very much expect there to be another application for this same open space project. Yes, of course, there's no guarantee that it is funded, but it was part of our deliberation. It was a trade-off to make sure that we could award some money to all of these projects because they do require continual funding to be able to make them happen. And knowing that they would be able to buy a year with the money that we're giving them to do their design work and then come back next year, we felt confident in being able to delay that second portion of the funding. That said, I hear you. I would love to see more open space projects as well.
Councilor Robinson.
Thank you. Through you to maybe Ms. Baez-Rose. On the Mass Mills project, 79 units of mixed income. Do we know the breakdown? How much of that is going to be market rate and how much of that is anything else?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly. For this project, I believe they got historic preservation funds. So actually the funding is not going to limit the affordability of the unit. That's like other tax credit, low income tax credit funding that they're getting access to that's going to actually be tied to the unit breakdown. The CPC funds are going for historic preservation, meaning exterior work only.
Oh, okay, so it's earmarked specifically for a certain part of the project.
Yeah, sorry, and I guess that's something that's important to flag is that sometimes projects are both like an affordable housing project that's happening in a historic building, and so the CPC can make a determination depending on how the applicant comes in, whether or not they want to put the money towards the historic preservation of the building or towards the affordability of it. And so it depends on sort of what the group decides, how they write the application, but they don't automatically get sort of, the vote isn't necessarily to have a historic preservation and an affordability restriction. So it's sort of either or depending on the building.
Okay, thank you very much. And would CPC be another potential mechanism where people could voluntarily enter into an agreement with the IPMs that we talked about for projects like this? With the anticoagulants and the SGARs, could we tie the CPC to projects with that?
Off the top of my head, I'm not 100% sure. I'm guessing that if we had a program established in the city that required that we probably could layer that as a stipulation is for grant agreements. Like to execute a grant agreement, you need to provide us with your IPM. That would, of course, be for the projects that are doing construction, But I do think there probably would be a mechanism if we had a program and a structure to do that. And, after this vote is taken or a vote is taken, it essentially triggers the law department to create grant agreements. And then we have to execute those. So there are various stipulations related. Historic preservation projects, for example, have to agree to a preservation restriction on the thing that's being historically preserved. So if we wanted to add stipulations, I'm sure there would be a mechanism by which something like that could happen, but not totally sure.
Greatly appreciated, and I look forward to continuing the conversation in the subcommittee. Thank you.
Councilor Liang.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. As a former CPC member, I know there's a lot of work that put into this. Also, while I don't like to see this continuous funding on a sort of annual basis, there's a lot of stories and partners, and also DPD and their program members that involved in the CPC members. So I'm just saying there's a lot of work into this, and while I don't want to see a lot of repeating money being given to sort of one particular group, but hopefully in the future we might looking into that as well. But I understand the work that into this, and the many more formula in behind this decision is very important. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, your turn.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Nuon. I just want to say thank you to the commission that oversaw this. I think they vetted it really well, and we all have to take into consideration, and I get what Councilor Dakota was saying, that we're going through COVID money also. All those years he named, inflation went way up, and we're looking at all of these projects that we're trying to get done in historic areas. And it's important that they did the vetting the way they did, and I would commend them on the way they went about it, because it's not easy when you're looking at these major projects that we all want in place, and then they see the spike in cost, and we're trying to manage these big projects. So I think they did a really good job. I would agree with Councilor Dakota that, you're back and back again, but I think the driver is the inflation in this country that has driven these projects out of sight, and a lot of people would walk away from them. As Councilor McDonough talked about the walkway over there, the whole facade falling off and landing on the walkway, and I think that they've really come forth and said that they'd get that repaired pretty quickly. So I will support them. Thank you. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to add some water to my earlier comments. I hear my colleagues. I hear the CPC Commission. I understand the recurring funding. I think my frustration is less with the projects getting the recurring funding and more with the lack of funding for the open space. Whether that starts with, okay, we could do $300,000 this year, but then maybe the city should be then applying for more projects. If we could have done more projects this year with the pool of money, I guess that's really where my frustration is. And then I like that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund exists. I really do. I guess I do also look at that though and say that's not a specific project. I'm not looking to cut anything tonight. I'm not. But I understand the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. It's $310,000. We have $300,000 for a phenomenal project by the Bridge Club. We have $125,000 for Suffolk Place, which I am frustrated by, but I do understand. But we underfunded, or we didn't underfund. The committee chose to do a $300,000 allocation for open space and then also allocate $310,000 to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And then that money is also used for affordable housing, which is good and needed in the city, but is not subject to any sort of review by us or anyone else. The trust fund's a cool thing. It's a great tool that exists, but it's a separate kind of quasi-independent group of people. So I guess what I'm asking for going forward, and I think this is the plan, but for me and anybody else, if we are going as a city to use the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, will that kind of take over in receiving the 10% or 15%, whatever percent allocation of CPC funds for affordable housing, which would then free up a lot of money, right? I think this is the idea. I think it's a good idea. I just want to say it in public. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And, I have to agree with, Mayor Gitcher's comments when he came down and spoke on 100%. I mean, when you take in the step-by-step process, number one, the costs have skyrocketed, number two, and every district in the city got a fully funded renovation or redesign of a park in their district, and to put off open spaces for a few years because we had this, I don't think it is the right reason why they did it. But we have talked about affordable housing and first-time home ownership, for years and years and years. And we're addressing that now, I think, as a council and as administration. And this is just one of the many tools that we have to put towards that. I would expect in the future that more open space availability will come up, in front of the CPC now because of the COVID money, that ARPA money that has been used, and those parks have been taken care of. I know that other councils have asked for, bathrooms, or maybe a renovation of Councilor Chau and I asked for a renovation of a basketball court in South Lowell. So those things can come about in the future. But I think a lot of credit has to be given to the board, as the mayor said. It's not an easy decision on how to spend the money equally, across all aspects of what the rules and guidelines are. But I think they really did a good job with it, and I'll plan to support the votes that I have from us today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Rourke. Besides Councilor Dakota on 7.2 and 7.7, is there any other ones that a council would like to see pulled out and have its own vote on? Councilor Mercier?
Maybe 7.3, I don't know.
Okay.
That'd be, because I have to abstain it. Thank you.
Any others? Okay, so we're going to have a roll call on 7.1, 7.4, 7.5, 7.6, 7.8, 7.9, 7.10, 7.11, 7.12, 7.13, 7.14, 7.15, 7.16, 7.17, and 7.18. So that's what this roll call will be on. Motion to adopt all of those by Councilor Nuon, seconded by Councilor Scott. Roll call.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Chau.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Juran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier.
Yes.
Counselor Nuon.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
11 yeas.
11 yeas. 7.2, vote 246.1 Market Street, CPC fund recommendation. Motion to accept by Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor Scott. Roll call.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Chau.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
No.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Juran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier.
Yes.
Counselor Nuon.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
10 yeas.
10 yeas, 1 nay. Motion passes. 7.3, vote 267 Pawtucket Street, CPC funding recommendation. Motion to accept by Councilor Nuon, seconded by Councilor Robinson. Councilor Mercier is abstaining from this vote. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Chau.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Juran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier. Counselor Nuon.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
10 yeas.
10 yeas. 7.7, vote Mass Mills CPC funding recommendation. Motion to accept by Councilor McDonough, seconded by Councilor Mercier. Roll call.
Counselor Scott.
Yes.
Counselor Chau.
Yes.
Counselor Dakota.
No.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Counselor Juran.
Yes.
Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McDonough.
Yes.
Counselor Mercier.
Yes.
Counselor Nuon.
Yes.
Counselor Robinson.
Yes.
Counselor Rourke.
Yes.
10 yeas.
Where's the technology? Chair. 8.1, Technology and Utilities Subcommittee, May 26, 2026. Do we have a report? Who's the chair? Councilor Liang, do you have a report on that one? Or you want to wait till next week? 2 weeks. Thank you.
Could I just make a comment on it? I just wanted to thank the city clerk and his staff for including the attachments that were presented at the meeting to the minutes that were, I should have mentioned this earlier when the minutes were presented, because I think including those materials enable residents to have a record of what was presented and discussed. Certainly it was helpful for me because I'm not on that committee. And it also is in keeping with the guidance given at the Rules Subcommittee meeting about a month ago. And so I'd ask that in the future, the PDFs that are included in the Agenda Center, whether it's in agendas, minutes, or other materials, could be in color. We don't need them printed in color, but I think it would be helpful to be able to read them more easily. But it was I really appreciate the city clerk's office in attaching all those to this document. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Juran. Thank you, Councilor Juran. 8.2, Public Safety Subcommittee, June 16, 2026.
Next meeting. Mr.
Next
Mayor.
week. Thank you. 9.1 claims, 8 property damage. Motion to refer to the Law Department for report and recommendation by Councilor Robinson, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Robinson.
can I make a motion to bundle 9.2 to 9.8?
Motion by Councilor Robinson to bundle 9.2 to 9.8, seconded by Councilor Dakota. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? So ordered. 9.2 miscellaneous. On the bun owner, Hector Rodriquez requests installation of an overhanging sign located at 120 Merrimack Street. 9.3 miscellaneous. Virgin Cardona requests installation of a handicap parking sign located at 279 High Street, Apartment 1. 9.4, National Grid requests permission to relocate one JO pole on Meadowcroft Street across from Exchange Place. 9.5, National Grid requests installation of a recloser at 88 Wood Street. 9.6, National Grid requests installation of a sidewalk guide wire on Richardson Street at McPherson's Park. 9.7, National Grid requests installation of a heavy-duty handhole and conduit on Meadowcroft Street at the entrance to 52.1 Bolt Street. 9.8, Boston Gas requests replacing existing gas main on Sanders Street. Motion to adopt by Councilor Rourke, seconded by Councilor Robinson.
You don't need to roll call.
We don't need a roll call.
No roll call.
National Grid going to public hearing? I thought they were all
National
going.
Grid's going to public hearing.
And Boston
on July
Gas.
14th, 2026 at 7 PM.
July.
14th, 2026 at 7 PM, all of the National Grids.
And Mr. Mayor, and
Boston
Boston
Gas.
Gas also?
And Boston Gas, I'm sorry, yes, and Boston Gas, yes. Yep. Councilor McDonough.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know this is just to refer it for the public hearing, but I guess I'd like to ask now, give some time to come up with an answer before we get there in a couple weeks. 9.4 and 9.7.
Yep.
These are, I believe this has to do with the continued development of that Meadowcroft site for the Markley Data Center, I think. I guess I'm looking for some clarification on what the customer's intended use. We can't seem to get this information from any of the other boards in the city when they go in front, so we do seem to have a vote on these. I would hope, I guess, that my colleagues would join me in looking for some information from the future customer that National Grid is proposing this work to serve before we vote to authorize that on the 14th, so thank you.
I'm hoping you'll see it in the packet.
I am very hopeful. I'm very hopeful it'll be in the packet, so thank you.
Should be. Thank you. 10, City Council Executive Session. Executive session to consider and discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property at 40 Market Street, Smith Breaker Center, 400 Merrimack Street, Senior Center, 276 Broadway Street. Public discussion of which could have a detrimental effect on the city's position. Motion to enter executive session by Councilor Juran, seconded by Councilor Chau. Roll call.
Councilor Scott.
Yes.
Councilor Chau.
Yes.
Councilor Dakota.
Yes.
Mayor Getchia.
Yes.
Councilor Juran.
Yes.
Councilor Liang.
Yes.
Councilor McDonough.
Yes.
Councilor Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Nuon.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Rourke.
Yes.
11 years.
Any announcements? Seeing no announcements? Up, Councilor
I'm
McDonough.
gonna get in trouble. I got 2 birthdays before the next council meeting, so I got a happy birthday to my wife and a happy birthday to my son, and I think I'm good now. Thank you.
Happy birthday.
And Mr. Mayor, are we adjourning from the executive session? I don't,
Yep.
okay, I didn't
Yep.
hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.